Hello again. I have been accused by some of being a little too quick off the mark to criticise mass immigration to Britain while deliberately ignoring the various advantages which the process brings to the country. One or two people have sent me emails pointing out, helpfully, that I will die soon and that they hope that my views on the subject will go to the grave with me. But none of them have actually pointed out what the benefits of large-scale unrestricted immigration might be. Now, I know that some academics have drawn up lists of these things, and in the description to this video I give such a list, and I thought it might be helpful to go through the points raised. So this morning I'll rectify all the negative things that I've said about immigration and focus upon the benefits. Let's run through them, and as I say, the list from which I'm working may be found in the description to this video. Right, the first one is increased economic output and living standards. Net immigration will lead to a growth in the size of the labour force and an increase in the productive capacity of the economy. Immigration leads to higher economic growth with a corresponding rise in tax revenues and potential for government spending. This may be true in some cases, although the economic growth and rise in tax revenues will only apply for those who are working legally and paying taxes. It does not apply to those reliant on state benefits, nor upon the huge number of failed asylum seekers and illegal immigrants who are working in what is sometimes known as the black economy. They contribute nothing but use the services provided, whether medical care or even things like having rubbish collected from their homes. It's not at all certain whether overall this whole idea about the increased tax revenues is a benefit to society. In other words, whether it's a net gain for society or a net drain upon society's resources. So we'll have to leave that one as an open question until we see some proper figures. Number 2, entrepreneurs. It is argued that immigrants often arrive with little wealth, so have a greater incentive to try and make something for themselves. I am assuming that this is not meant humorously. Immigrants who arrive with little wealth, or indeed no money at all, are as likely to turn to crime as they are to start exciting new companies. Snatching Rolex watches or robbing old people as they draw money from cash points is a far swifter and more certain way of obtaining capital than trying to set up a new business. There is in any society only a limited number of companies which will flourish, all the rest of them will fail. So the idea that out of the hundreds of thousands of immigrants arriving in the country, there are going to be quite a few profitable new businesses begun is probably dubious. Crime is a surer way of making money in the short term if you actually are penniless. Those who doubt this might care to look at a breakdown of those in British prisons by ethnicity, or indeed simply read their local newspaper if they live in a big city. Just draw up a list, compare the number of immigrants who are featured in the newspapers who have started exciting new companies which are of benefit to society and have succeeded commercially, and set those against the ones who have been convicted of defrauding other people or snatching bags. I'm not at all sure that the number of immigrant entrepreneurs is significant. 3 and 4, points 3 and 4, are increased demand and growth and a better skilled workforce. These 2 points are nonsense. Many of those who claim to have degrees in biomedicine from Kinshasa University are making dubious statements which cannot be checked. I have encountered any number of people who were supposedly qualified as engineers, doctors or geneticists in their own country. A few minutes' conversation with them soon leads one to doubt such claims. When somebody says they have a degree from an obscure college in Africa or Asia, it's often impossible to check if this is so. There is also a lot of lending each other certificates and diplomas. Nigerians in particular are famous for being known by different names to different people, as though anybody who's worked with Yorubas will know. So the idea that more immigrants have higher qualifications and university degrees than the native-born English is probably, well, it's certainly open to question. I don't think personally it's likely to be true. Filling undesirable job vacancies is a good point, but one easily remedied without recourse to immigration. For thousands of years, from the agricultural revolution of the Neolithic or New Stone Age right up through the 19th and 20th centuries, it was found possible to gather in the harvest and build houses in Britain without needing to invite foreigners into the country to do so on our behalf. This was because people knew that if they did not work in this way, there would be no food and nowhere to live. I suspect that the benefit system in Britain could easily be adjusted so that unemployed British people once again felt that gathering in crops and working on building sites and all these other undesirable job vacancies weren't such a bad idea after all. I'll leave the matter of the ageing population for now because this idea needs a separate video of its own. We come finally to this gem, which I shall quote in its entirety. Multicultural society. Away from economics, some feel that immigration leads to a greater cultural diversity, which gives the country a more diverse and inclusive feel. All countries with immigration have absorbed some aspect of foreign culture into their country, that's true, be it cuisine, music, literature or political influences, or I leave viewers of this channel to fill in the other aspects of foreign culture that they've seen absorbed into their country. This is not shown as a benefit at all. It's true that a byproduct of large-scale immigration will be a greater cultural diversity, but we are not told how this benefits society. Nor is it clear to many of us how giving the country a more diverse and inclusive feel is of advantage to those already living here. In other words, this is a description of multiculturalism. It does not explain why it is a benefit. I wonder if any viewers would like to point out any genuine and measurable advantages to unrestricted immigration, because none of the usually quoted things which I've covered here really make the case effectively.